Everyone, and welcome back to another video on the Football Corner. And as always, as I always say, I'm joined here with Harry, who seems to be in another world right now.
I'm here.
He's here. Okay, so today I thought we'd do a little extra video because I've got nothing else to upload really right now. So I saw this as an idea for Match of the Day. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a Premier League, like our Premier League all-time, like starting 11. Well, not starting 11, but you get the idea. So beginning with goalkeeper, I have Schmeichel, Seaman, Cech, Van der Sar, and De Gea.
I know which one I'm already getting rid of. I ain't gonna go for cancel out.
I think we both are gonna get rid of De Gea. Am I right?
Yeah.
So De Gea, like, he had 2 good years. I think he's not consistent enough.
Nowhere near. I mean,
Yeah.
he had. Well, I'd say he had a good years up until the last 2.
Yeah.
To breaking into the team because when he first joined, he was rubbish. But no, not that class.
So, that's De Gea gone. So we've got Schmeichel, Seaman, Cech, and Van der Sar. Probably let's go with the oldest one, Peter Schmeichel. Obviously, greatest goalkeeper that's ever played for Man United. Really, a lot of people haven't really heard of him because he was around the early era of the Premier League. But if you've seen videos of him, he was unstoppable. You heard what players say. You fear going up against him because he was that tall guy. He was strong and he was quite fierce, wasn't he? Then you got Seaman, obviously great Arsenal goalkeeper, very good for England. Still, he's remembered by that mistake in the 2002 World Cup against Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
We weren't alive at that time, but it's still horrible to see. And I can't imagine how horrible it would have been to see him in real waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, for me, I'm going to get Seaman off.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
Yeah. So now we're down to Schmeichel, Cech, and Van der Sar.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cech.
I know, for that side.
There's going to be no bias in this video, I promise. Alright, hands up, there's no going to be bias. Alright, Cech. There's a lot to say about Cech. 13, yeah, or 12. Around that, over a decade long at Chelsea. He went, I think, what was it? He went a while without conceding any goals. He's had the most clean sheets in the Premier League history. And he's just one of those goalkeepers that always puts up a fight, even in his final days, even in that Europa League final. He always put up a fight, and he's just hard to face because, he just seemed to always be in the right position.
Yeah, probably a goalkeeper us two have seen more of.
Yeah.
You probably have seen, why he's shortlisted there. Yeah, some of his saves were ridiculous, the way he got to things. You think, how on earth has he got to that? And he was a very consistent, sort of loyal servant for Chelsea, and they wouldn't have been anywhere near the success they had if they didn't have him.
Yeah. So we've talked about Schmeichel. Van der Sar. Now, Van der Sar, though he was a Man United player, he's my favourite. Him and Casillas are my 2 favourite goalkeepers of all time.
See, I don't think I've ever seen a lot of Van der Sar. I mean, and obviously I know he's a big legend, and if anyone came across the video, think, how have you not seen a lot of him? But when you think of Man United goalkeepers, I always just thought of Peter Schmeichel. I never thought of Van der Sar that much.
Van der Sar was one of those very acrobatic goalkeepers, and that performance in the 2008 Champions League final, where it was the one Chelsea lost, it was. That's why he was so good, and it was sad to see him retire, but he wasn't in the Premier League that long for me to put him in my exercise. So it's between Cech and Schmeichel. I'll ask you, who is going to be your number one?
I went with Peter Schmeichel in the end.
All right, this one's hard for me because I've seen Czech more, but then just think for me it has to be Schmeichel.
Yeah.
It just has to be. Right, so we go on to centre backs. Right here, I have Ferdinand, Terry,
Yeah.
Vidic, Company, and Campbell.
Some big names there. Big
Yeah.
names.
So instantly, some people may be annoyed with this. I'm gonna put out Campbell because I've never seen him play. I haven't ever seen him play.
Yeah.
I can't put in a player that I've never seen. So this is probably gonna be the hardest.
It's tough, and
Either way, you're not gonna please anyone with what anyone says.
I think that I already know which two I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
And it's harsh to one person. Yeah, I'd agree with Campbell out because he was a good player, but I don't think he's on the level of the other four. And I'm also going to take out Ferdinand because, as well, he was a very, sort of quick, very good centre half.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistakes in him compared to the other three.
Oh, there was.
Yeah, so I've picking between the other three for me.
He was a loyal captain, of course.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about performance. I thought, obviously he was good for Fergie because he was this sort of big, strong but mobile sort of centre half. But then I think he was prone to mistakes in United.
Yeah. So for me, Company, obviously.
Yeah, he was the
best captains of ever. He's been there for Man City through the lows and highs. Very good signing for only a couple million, I think. And though he wasn't always the best, he stuck there and he was loyal, which is what you want to see in a defender. You want to see in a captain, and that's why he was made captain for 5-6 years.
Yeah, probably one of City's best players that they've had. So strong, such a bulldozer in the back.
Yeah,
such a professional. I mean, and in big games, he was, ever present. I mean, that header against United, the goal against Leicester, just an all-round fantastic leader.
Yeah,
look no better for an ideal role model for a centre half. I think, if you're a young defender playing these days in the academy, look to him. He's fantastic.
I'll ask you yours.
Company is obviously number one, and then I had to pick between Terry and Vidic. Terry just edges it for me. Vidic was very good, but Terry, I feel like I've seen more of, and I feel like I've seen him defensively better. Vidic was a hard man. Vidic is probably the hardest centre half there's been. If you look for a tough, no nonsense centre half, it's him. But Terry, quality wise, I think just edges it for me. Just.
For me, City fans, I'm sorry about this, but I have to go Terry and Vidic more because when I was younger, I was more into football. But Vidic, obviously, you've summed it up. What I would have said. Obviously, bulldozer. Can't get past him. But Terry, just for how long he stayed at Chelsea, and for me, he's the best captain the Premier League has ever seen.
Yeah, definitely. He's roundabouts. Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah. Move on to the right back, and for my shortlist here, I have three. Because there isn't really you can actually say. I mean, you could say you could get Trent in there, but Trent has only been good for 2 seasons, so you can't really start.
No, I can't do that. Yeah, but you don't play it, so.
Yeah. So I have Gary Neville, obviously the Man United player, Man United player. We all know he was. the Man United captain, obviously the 1992, obviously part of the youngsters, Lee Dixon and Branislav Ivanovic. Obviously, there's a lot to say about these two, Gary Neville and Branislav Ivanovic. Gary Neville, I don't think. I think one of the reasons why he's in it is because of his loyalty to Man United and how, he just was a hard player to get past, but I think that's the only thing that was good for him, that it was his defence.
Yeah, I think what Neville sort of brought to that United side, I think obviously, a lot of people saw him towards the back end of his career.
Yeah.
If you watch a lot of his early highlights we broke through, if anyone who was sort of in their adult ages in that time watching him have a go at us saying, a few clips off YouTube, but his crossing was probably the most, weird sort of very good feature that stood out. Obviously decent fullback defender did the job, but some of his crosses, he was second best to Beckham in terms of riding crosses.
Him and Beckham working on that right hand side.
Green right hand side.
But you've got the Russian Branislav Ivanovic, who went a season without being dribbled past.
I think Ivanovic was not exactly good going forward, but very solid defensive player, tough, hard to, shoot the ball. He sort of bullied the wingers on the edge. And then goal scoring was probably his best feature. I mean, Neville was never a very, very good goal scorer, but Ivanovic sure popped up with a few good goals now and then.
Yeah, very good in the air, of course. For you, who are you having on that right?
Purely based off when he was at his best, I'm going to have to go with Gary Neville. I think Ivanovic was good, but I rate Neville more. Leeds fan, so that hurts to say a bit, but you got to give credit when it's due, and he was part of a lot of the very talented youngsters that came through in United's academy.
I think it's quite hard, but I think Neville just edges it, obviously, because just what he's done at United.
I think Ashley Cole's probably the best left back there's been, so I'm gonna go with him. If you got any better suggestions, anyone who stumbles across this video, put it down in the comments.
Well, we've got them to that's to have Ronaldo and Messi both say that you were the hardest left back they faced and that they couldn't dribble past you.
Yeah.
That just sums it all up. And I remember watching it was always a joy to see Ronaldo versus Cole, because it was just, you got Ronaldo's skill, but then you got Ashley Cole's dominance. It's quite hard to get past him. So we have Cole. Moving on to the two centre mids. So I have 6. I have Gerrard, Keane, Lampard, Scholes, Vieira, and Torre.
Yeah.
So one, like we always, I think one that I've got to knock off is Torre.
Very good player. Long shots, fantastic, strong, off the ball, but I don't think you can really compare him to the others.
No. That 20-goal season was amazing, and that helping City win. That leaves Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Vieira, and Keane.
Yeah. I was going to say before that. Keane, I'm going to take him off, but I'll just explain why. Quality, he was very good, but he's not on the level of the others. But why he ranks up there is obviously because, he provides some of the greatest parts of why football's amazing, You don't get midfielders like him anymore. And the likes of Vinnie Jones, many, hard, tough midfielders whose main job was just to go out and disturb the other team. Some of his reducers and just, amazing aggression. Even though he's a Man United player, to me, he's an important part of, why football was great, watching in that time. It's just hilarious. How someone could be so aggressive in football, people say, oh, football can't be that aggressive, It's a beautiful game. It's more about scoring goals, but he brought that sort of amazing sort of brutal passion to the game, which made it so great to watch.
No question. Who would you rather have, Keane or Vieira?
I think Vieira purely because, you know, he could not exactly match Keane's aggression, but he did have, you know, quite a lot of it, and I think he was a better skilled footballer, and I think Keane struggled to sort of keep up with him. Obviously, you said he's probably his toughest opponent going up in midfield, but you know, Keane never backed down from a challenge against him. But I'd still give it to Vieira.
So that leaves Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard. I'll let you talk about Scholes because I haven't really watched him that much.
Scholes probably one of the best passers in this side, I think. And not only that, you know, he did some crazy goals. I mean, I think there was one in a cup game where from a corner headed out and he just hit it, bang! It went like a rocket into the goal. I mean, he was capable of that a lot, but he was key for unlocking a lot of goals for United. You know, assisting them.
Yeah,
probably all-time goal scorers, but he was second best to Giggs and probably as good as Giggs. Didn't get him any assists, but that's what I remember him for really. And a right little devil in midfield as well. He had a ability to sort of snap your ankles as well.
Yeah.
Sort of amazing.
So then we've got two players, which, yeah, you can't. It's quite hard to choose between them two. Lampard and Gerrard. You've also got you've got Super Frank. You know, 200 goals. Should have been Chelsea's captain. Obviously, very good in defence, but he's for me, he's that perfect number 8, a combination of skill, dribbling, shot, and defence.
Yeah. You want me to say my two? Because you're not going to like it.
We've not talked about Gerrard yet, so carry on.
Gerrard, best player for me. Some of his goals, long ranges, fantastic. I've never seen a person hit a ball like that. Influential in the park for the Liverpool. Won so much. I just don't think I've seen a better midfielder than him. That's just my personal opinion. Not saying that Lampard wasn't good, but I just think he's way better, and that's just my opinion.
Your two centre mids were Vieira and Gerrard, and mine were Lampard and Gerrard. So, if we move on to right mid, or is it just a combination of right mid, left? Oh, this is wide midfielders, right? So, the list is Beckham, Ronaldo, Bale, Giggs, and Hazard.
Sorry, what do we have again? Bale, Giggs. I just want to point out, they're pretty much all of them except Beckham are mainly play on the left. So if we put someone on the left and the right, it doesn't matter. They're both wingers, basically.
Yeah, but we'll put on wingers, but Ronaldo played right mid for Man United. Remember that.
Okay, all right. Well, so I already know one for definite.
You can have Ronaldo on the left or right, whoever you want.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
I mean, we'll begin with probably the guy who just isn't going to make it. Hazard, you know, obviously best player in the Premier League, in my opinion, for the past 4 years before he left. You know, unstoppable. If you see his dribbling, I've never seen somebody so good at dribbling than him.
Yeah, that goal against Arsenal where all the Arsenal players try and, even Coquelin tries to get on his back. Yeah. They can't really stop him. I think, I can't remember which coach he said, but, you know, he's quite, you know, weirdly strong in sort of the sort of hips, you know, which means he's kind of hard to knock off the ball and got a very good low centre of gravity, really.
And he was one of those players which you can tell a player's good when he always gets fouls.
Yeah.
I'm kind of serious there, I'm kind of not, because it tells you they're targeting the player. But
yeah, there is some truth to that, yeah.
Yeah. So Hazard, I'm sorry, I love you. Lay off the Burger Kings a bit. Okay, so we have Giggs, Henry, Ronaldo, and Beckham left.
I'd get rid of Beckham personally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think he was as good as people made out to be. I mean, I think he's probably one of the up there with best crosses in the Premier League history.
I think he's the greatest. You can't bend it like Beckham.
He didn't offer much more than that, and I don't think he was as good as he was thought to be. I think he was obviously, like most people, better when he first started out. So obviously, didn't see it often, but
his young self was lightning pace, and yeah. All right, so I'm keeping Beckham in. You know, just an amazing player, one of the most influential players in the past 20 years. You look at what he's done for America and the MLS, and also he's just one of those household names that everyone knows. You have Beckham out, so if we move on to Giggs, not a guy I rate that much, but he's just. I
think he is up there with one of the best players United have had from that class of '92. I think he's the best of the lot.
Oh yeah, of course.
Probably, you know, the Ronaldo, Tevez, and Rooney sort of front three man out was very good, but I think Giggs is probably one of the best. I mean, everything about the game is fantastic.
Watching Giggs that much, that's down to me. Not watching him that much, but
I think Beckham's sort of unlucky because he played with Giggs, who, you know, Beckham's a very good player, but Giggs was twice the player that Beckham was. I mean, Giggs had everything. I mean, the stats don't lie. You know, most assists in the Premier League. But also, you just watch him play, and he was a magical player and the best move for United. I think one goal that sums him up probably the best was that solo goal against Arsenal in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
One goal. I think they were down to 10 men or so. They were losing. I can't remember what it was, and they needed a miracle, and he provided it. So I do rate him very highly.
Would you see him ever becoming the manager for United?
I think he was temporary manager for a bit.
Yeah.
But he didn't do too well. That Welsh manager, he's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty well recently, and I think he'll probably stick with that job for a while. I really do like sort of legends of the Premier League getting a lot of jobs like Gerrard and Lampard, but you know it doesn't always work out. You know, sometimes you get given a big club to start off with because of your name, but then as you go on later in your career, managers like him, Lampard and Gerrard, will they succeed over time? Will they become a veteran that clubs will always want? It's hard to say, really, but
I guess Zidane's been the main person to do that, hasn't he?
Yeah, but there's a lot of question. Was it down to Zidane, or was it down to one of the best Real Madrid sides they've had for a while? I mean, they dominated the Champions League. Couldn't you say, is that down to Zidane, or is that down to the players? You know.
Yeah. So I mean, we've kind of not talked about Henry that much. I'm not going to. Well, Henry, I think, is third for both striker and winger, because there's better players in that position, but he's one of those guys that you just know is there, and he just misses it out for me. So, and then we've got Ronaldo. There's not much to say about Ronaldo. Top 3 players of all time in the Premier League. I think some of the stuff in the Premier League that you see Ronaldo do, you know, the skill. His skills have kind of like he's kind of lost his skill in the Premier League that he had in the Premier League compared to now. You don't see him really doing that much skill anymore compared to what he did in the Premier League.
That's a young, mature, unexperienced player versus the professional he is today. And, you need the skills. I mean, when he was young, he's probably thinking, "I want to be the flashiest, the best," sort of the people talk about. But now he's thinking, he's not a totally unselfish player. I still think he's a little bit arrogant and selfish, but he's sort of matured a bit as a professional.
All right.
Seems
So,
like
the left mid, who do you have? I'm guessing Giggs.
I haven't talked about Henry much, and it's true because I actually think he's one of the craziest people I've seen play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
It's the hardest decision I have to make because if I could have two left mids, I'd have them both.
Yeah.
I feel like if you say, look at my side, and you think, what's the most outrageous thing you could do? Leaving out Giggs. I think you can't have a team without Giggs in, so I'm going to put him. But there's still a high chance I could have Henry at striker, I think. I'm going to put Giggs with Ronaldo.
I've gone with Ronaldo and Beckham. I think you can't. It's hard to agree on a top 10 because people have grown up and watched different players.
Yeah, it is.
I'm more focused on the early 2000s. That's why I did a lot of football watching. I saw Ronaldo and Beckham. Whereas you're more of like you've seen kind of a bit earlier, haven't you?
Yeah, I think you can be forgiven, really. I mean, it's just you're going off your opinion based on what you're seeing. People tell you, "I'll go watch more clips of them." You can still watch a lot more clips of people in the back, but you still might favour a player you watched growing up because the feeling of seeing a player live and thinking, well, "I actually just witnessed that."
Yeah. So strikers.
Yep.
I have a long list right here, Harry.
This is going to be the toughest pick of the lot, really.
Well, you should see this list. I'm like putting it down into there's 16 players right here, and I'm gonna have to shorten it down to I'm gonna say 6, but every single one of these players could be in this.
Well, so tell them all to me because
I'll tell them all, but it's good. All right. Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, Wright, Cantona, Sheringham, Fowler, Owen, Bergkamp, Omri, Zola, Nistelrooy, Rooney, Drogba, Van Persie, Suarez, Aguero. I told you that was.
I'm going to need some repeats. I couldn't get them all down.
I'll just go through it again slowly. I'll cut this up. Cole.
Yeah, I got him.
Shearer.
Yeah. Cantona. Sorry?
Wright.
Right, yeah, Ian Wright. Keep going.
One of the most idiotic players I've ever seen. His jokes on Match of the Day. I hate Ian Wright. I just hate him because he's so stupid. I like him, but he's one of those players that you hate how annoying he is.
I don't find it annoying. I just find it banter like that's great. Like Michael Richards on there at Sky Sports. It's funny. Sheringham.
Fowler.
Owen.
Owen.
Yeah, I got Owen.
Bergkamp.
Yeah, wow.
Henry.
Yeah, got him.
Zola. Yeah, you can't forget him.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Nistelrooy.
Who?
Van Nistelrooy.
Oh, Van Nistelrooy. Did he say Rooney at some point?
Hang on, I'm getting to him. Rooney.
Yeah.
Drogba.
Yeah.
Van Persie.
Yeah.
Suarez.
Yeah.
Aguero.
Yeah.
Right. Right, let's shorten this down first.
Lower off. Good. Very good player, but you can't compare him to that. Sheringham off.
Wait, let me just stop the recording so